Hey, it only took us a few days, but we made all these systems submit to our will. It's always a fun challenge to find enough room and be clever enough, and, savvy enough with all of this stuff to cram it all in the tiniest area possible and to do so in such a way that it could pass for totally professional and even, ingenious. We can get a little light up there. We got water, hot and cold, supply, and sink drain appropriately plumbed here. And our toilet, once again, appropriately plumbed. Just right on by the stack elbow that comes out the side of our custom duct and goes upstairs. There's just enough room there. You can see I had to get a little rough with the duct. It got a little rough with me. Words were exchanged. Also, I got all ready to pull the PEX through. What I did was send it all upstairs there and then send it over here. And before the drain was in, I could reach my hand in through the hole for the elbow and crank it just hard enough to straighten it out down through this hole and pull enough of a tail out that I could be pulling on the tail and sending it to myself, with my right and my left hands here as I was on the ladder, and got myself enough, and then down to the floor, and I did it again with the blue, which took some time. And on my way by some of this duct, I lacerated both original runs of PEX to the point where I couldn't be sure that they wouldn't pop a hole and start leaking in the future. So we had to stop and go to the store, to get 2 new sticks, which isn't that expensive. They aren't that expensive, but then we got them in, being careful to avoid the sharp area of the ductwork that time. And then this last leg here, getting him up, turned, and in. The location of the TY was super important, and the run between it and the elbow was super important. But the order of operations when you're assembling this pipe is extremely, important. And it all was done after the duct was placed, because I knew the duct had to be of a certain size, and that was the priority. And if we were going to have to swing this plumbing down into this wall and then roll it down into the wall here, that was on my mind, that maybe we'd have to do this turn down with the elbow right here and come along in the little top area of wall that'll be left in our opening here, like there is over there. So I left myself that option, but in the end I was able to smash it all together. Anyway, the point is, I had ordinary cement for gluing the PVC, and I had to stop what I was doing and go to the store and get slower curing cement that gave me enough time to make sure everything was in the right place here and that had been started, and then get behind it and shove it in there and get some full engagement. Lots of messing around. It looks very simple now, but there's just a lot of messing around. Now if we go upstairs, we clean this up too for the time being. Is it 100%? No. But will it be better than it was before? Yes. Our stack is in the wall to this point. We put a register back into it so that you can control. There's no plenum anymore in here, but you can control whether or not the room is on or off right here. And then we went across directly from the back of that straight to the existing stack head or register box that was already installed. Didn't disturb it in that wall, and it has a register on it that also can be opened and closed, and that'll get us those 2 rooms heat again. Now the leg that comes through underneath and up into the bedroom is still to be solved downstairs, but as you can see, I'm trying to stay behind the plane of this wall so we don't have to move this in the door like we were saying, which is where we are now. Everything's back in here, and we can come through with a drywall patch. Really, we're going to use this location of this wall, and I say it's not going to move. It will likely be completely demolished to a certain point, maybe close to the corner, and fully reframed conventionally. And because that's, like I said, rather than adding to it in here with little strips to get us out, I'll just probably rebuild most of it at a later date. But that'll get us out to a full thickness wall with drywall that goes over this here. And they'll likely cut in a register on this side so that this bathroom has a little bit of heat. And then we'll take off and keep going with the stack, like I said, up and over and down, and try to get back into that over there if that's feasible, or we'll solve it a different way. I may cut all the boards right out of the floor here after we determine where the floor for the room is and replace it with 3/4 inch plywood, and while I'm in there, go underneath and cut up and into the wall here, because I can just take a narrow, we'll see what we're going to do. it's going to be more surgery, and our door will be here. But for now, we have our water supply and our drain. This was another little fiddle fart. You know, it took us a couple hours to deal with it. Hey, that's a funny looking, it's like a butt. Look, a butt. Anyway, the TY couldn't come up permanently straight up and down. I forget why that was. Oh, because the run of pipe had to be where it was, and as you turn the TY perfectly vertical, we roll out of the core of where we want our wall to be, and we are sticking out over here. So we had to take it at about 1/8 of a turn, or 22.5 degrees. So then, and not only that, that component we were saying is a 3x2. You can't get a 3x1.5. So we had a bushing here from 2 to 1.5, then a little piece of 1.5 inch pipe, and then a little 1.5 inch 1/8 turn or 22.5 degree, and all of that stacks up, and at the right, to clock it at the right angle here. Someday, I just left it loose for now. We're coming straight up and down in the center line of the wall to be, and we can go anywhere we want after that with our sink. Normally the inlet to the sink is about 18 inches off the floor, and I'm thinking our toilet will be in here at 45, and our sink will be over here somewhere, and the warm air will come out underneath it, and that'll be how the bathroom is arranged. And that may mean that the door swings like this or like that. It's going to be fiddly, but for now it's clean, and what you need is here for a bathroom, so myself or someone else can handle that in the future. Feeling good. Back to construction finally, which means immediately to the store. This is not a load-bearing wall. It won't hurt to bear some weight. I mean, it worked out right underneath the joist, so the least we can do is build quite robustly under the joist and over and down on both sides, so that it certainly isn't hurting anything, and it's supportive if necessary, if you were to put a hot tub up there, which is a joke. But if you load up the room in the future, you have kids jumping up and down, it won't be as much deflection down here if we're sturdy. So across the top of these jack studs, I'm going to stack up 2x4 to create a header, which will leave us enough room to logically put jack studs in. I could pack it up solid with LVL or 2x10 or something like that, but it's just more money spent and more weight added to the house, which I'm not going to do. Over here, this is load bearing in a sense. Again, it should only need to come over to this post that we put in here, but I'm still torn on how to elegantly get over and up to the bedroom. I may want to come out the side or come out the edge of this into the wall and then roll up there. And I'm rebuilding a wall here, so the opportunity is there. I'm going to take it to really build a heavy-duty door opening that goes right down, because this here is the top of the beam from the basement. There's the pocket the joist should be in, and at least the beam is on jack posts that we installed there and does a span to one right here. So since it's a nice big beam and it does a pretty short span on jack posts, I can take off with framing and jack studs on both sides of our doorway opening, and when I come across the top of those jack studs, which is what these are here, and provide a shelf for a header, I will use LVL. I will likely use 12-inch LVL. I'm basically gonna buy something a little bit taller than what allows me the height for the opening that I need. Then I'm gonna shave a sliver off that lets that come up, so the whole top can be solid wood, because there's no point in making little jack studs for on top of it that are little slivers of wood. That's stupid. So we'll just have a solid plywood header. We're gonna frame this wall at 2.5 inches thick rather than 3.5 inch thick studs, the way I did over there. And so since LVL is, this will be the thickness of our stud wall, and normally you use 2 layers of LVL, will get you 1 3/4 inch will get you close, and sometimes you have to add a little bit. But in this case, we can only do 1 layer, and so I think it'll end up being about 3/8 of an inch on both sides in plywood, and it'll just be solid plywood. LVL supplementation. It's my new band. In the end, everything here will be better and more heavy duty, and with all of the framing we can start sticking up some drywall. We will be sliding in the baseboard temporary, setting the drywall to it, and then pulling the baseboard out, so the joint work that we have to do, the mud, won't get up onto the baseboard at all. We're gonna have very little joint work here. Horizontally, the drywall will do this without any joinery except at the corner. We got to get up and around and blend into there. There'll be some mud joinery here all the way down through the corner. We'll have a horizontal piece here. There'll be a little short seam there, a horizontal piece of drywall here, and these openings all the way around will be trimmed with wood, and the bottom with baseboard, and the doorway with jamb, and across the top with crown molding. So there really will just be a horizontal seam here, the corner, a horizontal seam over there, the corner, a horizontal seam here, a corner, and a horizontal seam here and here in this corner, you know, and the screw holes obviously. But as far as drywall work goes for the square footage here, it would be quite a small amount. The ceiling is actually going to take a fair amount of the effort to get a patch in here and get it to bounce light smoothly across. We aren't going to do the ceiling repaint, but that's an important component to that. So anyway, we're getting set up to go back to building out stuff on the first floor, but pretty proud of this. Another fun little project. Seems simple, but you're going to spend 3 full days there if you're professional, and probably the week if you're not. So be prepared for that, but it can be done. Okay, we'll see you. Thanks for watching.